What's happening, guys? Boost RJ and welcome to a new video and indeed a new series for Formula 1 2014. This is called Formula 1 2014 Talk, and today we've got the first episode. Basically, this will just be me talking with other guests about the topics of Formula 1 this week. And here I am with my two guests, two familiar fellow YouTubers, and the first one is very familiar to this channel, Stop Matt 1998.
Hello, everybody.
And then our second guest, who is currently eating chili, Mr. Chipmunk, it's Joseph himself.
I got my cheeks full.
Lovely. Right.
There you go.
Right, so we're going to get straight into it. I'm going to ask you first, Matt. We're going to give all of our opinions on it. But what do you think about the idea that Williams are back? You know, they were pretty bad last year, and they're back, you know, in points and driving well.
Yeah, I think obviously that's probably mainly down to the them having the Mercedes engine. I think that has probably made a huge difference. But you know, also their car is very good as well. I think their reliability seems okay, and obviously the first couple of qualifyings we saw them qualify not too well, but that was mainly because it was wet and their car obviously doesn't run as well in the wet conditions. But as it was a dry qualifying here in Bahrain, we kind of saw their you know, full pace, full potential. And they did alright in the race, although I think they were quite unlucky, I think, with the safety car and everything. But yeah, Williams are certainly back. So,
as well, do you think that's due to the experienced Brazilian Felipe Massa joining the team as well?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So would you say that perhaps, you know, you've got Massa and Bottas. Do you think that throughout the season that Massa will push Bottas and possibly, if you like, Massa will have his finished business and perhaps, I don't know, just have his one season, perhaps retire after this season, you know, and leave Bottas to it?
You know, first of all, Massa's chuffed, to be honest, because like, he left Ferrari. Mm-hmm. Ferrari got a worse car than Williams by the looks of it.
Yeah.
And, but it reminds me a lot of, Massa and Schumacher back in 2006 when they were Ferrari. Felipe Massa was a lot younger then. It was like Schumacher was kind of mentoring him.
Yeah.
And that's why Massa looks up to him so much and is wishing he can get better, basically.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that. I think Massa will do a similar thing for Bottas, really, but I think it'll be a good partnership.
Yeah, it's a great connection, obviously. I think that, you know, like you say, I think Schumacher, you know, there's been so many benefits on Felipe Massa. And I mean, I know he's not won the championship in his life, but, you know, he came very close in 2008, obviously, with Hamilton.
Yeah.
But the Williams car is definitely back to fortune. And I think it's good for the team because there's not one nasty soul on the team. You know, the two drivers are good fun. You know, you got one Finn and one Brazilian, so good mix. And then you've got two lovely women, Claire Williams and Susie Wolff.
Cheeky Toby. Cheeky boy.
Dirty mind. Anyway. No, they're all really nice in the team, and I really hope that Williams do well this season. So, our next subject is, in the first three races, Mercedes have had domination. So I'm going to come to you first, Joe. What do you think of that?
Well, after the safety car today, it kind of summed up how quick they were, really, because I think after about 6 or 7 laps after the safety car, they'd already built like a 12-second lead.
Yeah, they did, yeah.
Which was pretty insane. And also, they did that at the beginning of the race. Back onto Williams really quickly. I think they missed Friday practice, so if they'd had that Friday practice, they might have even been a bit quicker, and I'm sure if they did, they would have been quicker than the Force India. Mm-hmm. Definitely. But yeah, back onto Mercedes. Oh, certainly. Onto Mercedes, yeah, they've just got such a quick car. I mean, they've got the engine, which is built around their car, really, isn't it? It's their power unit for their car. They've got the drivers. They've got the inter-team battle, really, haven't they? So they've got everything you want. I thought the only thing I was really concerned about was I think every single lap I saw them two racing together, I thought they were going to punt each other off, one of them.
Yeah.
That's the only criticism for Mercedes, is that I don't know if I can trust those two, because Hamilton was doing a bit dirty with his defensive moves.
I can see them colliding later in the year, if I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, I know, same.
But go to the point, just interrupting you there, Joe, go back to the point of collisions in this race. We'll just talk quickly about this. You know, Maldonado did a bit of a move bitch on Gutierrez, pretty much, didn't he?
You know what? He pitchforked him up his arse. That's what he did. The new front wing on the Lotus does look a bit like a pitchfork.
Yeah.
Just stabbed the rear wheel. He looked like a pilot doing like a barrel roll. That's what he looked like.
So, Matt, what do you think of the incident? Do you think it was all necessarily his fault? Do you think it was all Maldonado's fault? Or do you think it was just a racing incident?
Well, at first, I actually had quite a lot of sympathy with Maldonado because I thought that Gutierrez kind of turned in on him, but thankfully Gutierrez is alright, so that's the main thing. But yeah, I think it probably was Maldonado too. I think he went a bit too aggressive into turn one. Like he kind of went straight on into Gutierrez, which was a shame. But yeah, I just think that was Maldonado's fault, and I really think he should have got more. I believe he's got a 5-place grid penalty for the next race, and he got a 10-second stop and go penalty. I still think he deserves more than that.
Thing is, that's like Ricciardo though, isn't it?
Yeah,
Ricciardo got a similar penalty when Ricciardo didn't do something near
and it was
no way as bad as that.
No,
and it
in
was
fact,
like
it was that Ricciardo didn't do anything. It was just the
exactly. It was the team error, and also Maldonado. If I'm right, I think Bianchi pulled a similar thing on him at the beginning of the race, and Bianchi got a penalty for that.
Mm-hmm.
But Bianchi ended up getting a penalty. No, he got a puncture, so he came off worse.
Yeah.
I think Maldonado hadn't learned from it. He'd come out the pits, remember, so he was on colder tyres. But still, he should have judged his braking point a lot better.
Really should have.
Yeah.
And he should have known when to brake. And to be honest, I think Gutierrez was just taking the normal line. I don't think Gutierrez thought that Maldonado was going to do that.
Exactly.
And I think because of the angle of the wing, it's so low down now, I think it just got right underneath of Gutierrez's right rear tyre. And then by that time, he went straight over. I think he was so lucky he landed on the right way up, because if he landed the way up, he looked completely shooken up. He even asked, I think it's on the radio, he was like, what just happened there, guys?
Yeah.
But he was a bit chilled out. I'm not being funny on the radio. What the hell just happened?
I know, I think Maldonado trying to kill everyone.
What was that?
It's Merc. Like, he's trying to kill me!
Right, so enough of that now. We're just going to go back to Mercedes for one last point. And I'm going to ask both of you, who's the best driver? Is it Lewis or Nico?
Do you want a shot, Joe?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll start.
Okay.
Consistency based, I'd have to go with Nico, because I think he's very consistent. Pace wise, I'd have to go with Hamilton. But only on one lap pace, I'll go with Hamilton. I think overall pace, Rosberg can match him. It's just, I think Hamilton's just got raw speed, to be honest. I mean, Hamilton can conserve tyres at the same time. I think they're very similar driving styles, to be honest.
Yeah, they are very.
They're very.
Very
yeah,
equal.
I mean, you saw them when they were battling each other. Hamilton was defending; he was pushing Rosberg right off the track a few times.
So just to interrupt and not let Matt start his point, yeah. What we're just going to do, I'm just going to ask you, Joe. So if Mercedes keep dominating and none of the cars catch up to them, if you're saying that Nico's got better race pace, are you saying that Nico's the favourite for the title then?
Well, I obviously think Nico's the favourite title because he has a race in hand already, because Hamilton didn't finish Australia, remember?
Yeah, but
so,
if you like discounting that.
Yeah, well, based on that, Hamilton's won the last 2 Grand Prix. I think Hamilton's got the start and everything. It's just Rosberg needs to get everything together now, I think. I think he needs to calm down. I mean, he's leading the championship.
Yeah.
He needs to think about that, and he needs to just try and get those second places. He just basically needs to beat Lewis.
Yeah.
And I mean, they both have a car that was like Red Bull's in, I think it was was it 2011? When Vettel comfortably won the championship.
Yeah.
I think there was one race, it was like Hungary. They were going around laps about 2 seconds quicker than everyone else, the pole laps were for Red Bulls. The Mercedes car is just in a class of its own at the moment. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So sorry about that, Matt.
Sorry, Matt.
So what do you think, Lewis or Nico?
I sort of agree with Joe. I think 1 lap pace, I think Lewis has got him, undercover. And then with race pace, that is a really tough one because they're both very equal. I think, it's so tough, isn't it? I think I've got to go with Lewis again, to be honest. But as Joe picked up on, Rosberg already has sort of a race advantage over Hamilton, as Hamilton didn't finish in Australia. But I'm looking at the championship standings now, and Rosberg has a 11-point lead back to Hamilton. So that's not much. So if Rosberg doesn't finish one race, then Hamilton's is right back in the championship. And I think,
I mean, what you've got to consider. Sorry to interrupt there, Matt. But what you've got to consider, if Hamilton wins another race and Rosberg comes second. Hamilton's only 4 points behind him at the end of the day.
And then if
this keeps going,
So remember the next race is China, and Rosberg has a very good running race in China.
Yeah,
he won the first race for the Silver Arrows a couple of years ago, didn't
Hamilton's
he?
also very good around China
Mercedes'
as well,
first
actually.
race. Yeah, that's going to be interesting because I know Rosberg. I don't know if Rosberg got pole last year. I can't remember, but I know he's definitely won there before.
Hamilton got pole last year. I don't know.
I can't remember who got pole and who won.
I think Alonso won the race, didn't he?
I know Alonso won, but I think Hamilton was. Yeah, I think if I'm right, I think Rosberg retired. I can't remember. It was so long ago, but I know Alonso won. I don't know how he won, but he did. An important point though is that Rosberg has been at Mercedes 3 years longer than Lewis Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
I think he has. I think he's been there 3 years longer. So obviously he knows the team well. He knows the car well. I know it's a new car, but he's used to it all. So
hold on, I'd just like to add, I've just got the results for the Chinese Grand Prix last year, and it was Alonso that won it, and Kimi Raikkonen finished second and Lewis Hamilton third. And you are right, Nico Rosberg retired and he finished 19th. Just to clear that up with everybody.
Yeah, I thought so.
So I'm going to add another subject in there rudely. We're only going to have 4, but we're going to have 5. I will start with Matt this time because his beloved Sergio Perez at this team. And what we're going to add is, what do you think of, all of a sudden of Force India's outbreak of pace this weekend?
Yeah, it's been amazing actually. I don't really know where it's come from, to be honest. I think they've obviously must have brought some sort of upgrade to Bahrain, and it really has worked out as, Perez obviously got the podium, an amazing result for him. Honestly, I don't think anyone really would have predicted that before the weekend started. I think after qualifying, they may have predicted Perez for a podium. But yeah, I think Perez. I'm going to go back to the point, from last year when he got sacked by McLaren. I think it's the reason why he wasn't performing too well is because he didn't have the car. But now he has a fairly decent car. He'll be able to get podiums consistently, I think. But yeah, pretty much. I think he'll be able to get podiums. Sort of, not every race, but I think, every so often he'll be able to, get his car on the podium. And, with Hülkenberg, apparently he had a problem towards the end, so that's why he kind of dropped back and allowed Perez to sort of stretch out his lead and therefore get achieve the podium.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, I agree, sort of there. So do you think this pace is for, so do you think this pace for the season then?
I hope so, but however, teams like Red Bull are very, very good at developing their car and catching up with the other teams. And to be honest, I think, if I'm going to be honest, I think Red Bull will probably be maybe even on Mercedes pace by the end of the year, to be honest. But I think with Force India, I think they will stay at this sort of pace, but I think they'll drop back towards the end of the year. That's just my prediction.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Obviously they had a strong start to the year last year, didn't they? And they've always been good at this track, with Di Resta getting a 4th last year.
Yeah.
So Matt, not Matt, Joe, have you got any more thoughts on that?
It's Matt. Matt, you're a Perez fan.
Yeah. Well, Perez.
You're probably going to shoot me for saying this, but I think that's going to be one of his one-off races because last year when he was in the McLaren, he had a really strong race in Bahrain, didn't he, with Button. He was racing with Button in that. He's very strong around Bahrain.
Yeah, when he didn't mash into him, yeah.
Yeah, I know. And in Australia and Malaysia, he didn't have very good races. I think that maybe it could give him a bit of a confidence boost. But the thing that the Force India have got right is they've got a good balance between pace and aerodynamics. I mean, you can see it today. I think Hülkenberg was behind 2 cars, and within 2 corners, or it might be Perez, overtook Alonso and someone else, I can't remember who it was, but literally they have such good speed. I know the Ferraris, what they're lacking in is speed. They need to get the gearing right, really. But the Force India have got it completely bang on. Around Bahrain especially, they just got the setup perfect, really.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I think Hülkenberg will be really strong this year. I think he'll get a really good drive next year if he can, because I know he's not got the money, but he's got the pace, and whatever car you put him in, he'll do well in, so.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just want to go back to the Mercedes, and I mean, it's a mini subject for me. Obviously, people have moaned on Twitter, why am I moaning? It's meant to be one of the best races ever. But the reason that I'm moaning is because in this sport, I don't like domination. And since I've watched the sport at the start of 2009, the sport's been dominated by somebody. Whether it be Button, Vettel, or Hamilton, or whoever, has dominated. And at the start of the season, when Vettel and Red Bull weren't doing very good in testing, I thought this is going to be great because it's going to level out the playing field and, it's going to be a bit more exciting.
Yeah.
But when we came to Australia and Mercedes was dominating, I thought this is just basically going to be, it's just going to be
Red Bull again, all over again.
Mercedes, it's just going to be Red Bull all over again. But Mercedes, I'd just like to add, I've just found on Twitter that Pasta's got 3 points and a 5-stop penalty for the next race. But anyway, just moving on to that. I hate domination in the sport. However, I'm a little bit biased. I don't like Hamilton. I admit I don't like Hamilton. I don't like Vettel. If it was Jenson Button, I'd love it, but I know that's biased and I know that's contradicting myself totally. But it's a stupid one, really, this sport, and that's why I'm out on Twitter. I'd just like to clear that up with the guys. People just I put my opinion over on Twitter, and then everyone just went, yeah, you're wrong, you're wrong, and all that. But just clear that up. So we're going to move on to the next subject, and
but I have to go quickly, so yeah.
Yeah.
Go on then.
Move. Let's move. I'm going to ask you, Joe. You know, at the start of the season, they thought that Cater and Marussia would improve. They said that it'd be the best chance for them to get points. I mean, it is still very early on in the season, but they've just had no improvement. Why do you think that is?
Well, if you saw in qualifying, I think they were only 6/10 off. Well, the top end were 6/10 off making it into Q2, I think. And based on that, I think they've improved in pace-wise, but I don't know what power units they have. I think the Marussia's got a Ferrari power unit, if I'm right.
Yeah, Marussia's Ferrari.
And the Caterham's Renault, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Correct.
So, based on that, I think if they both had Mercedes, they would be a lot higher up. Maybe even getting into Q2. It's just reliability, really, isn't it? So,
yeah.
I mean, I didn't even hear from Kobayashi today. I don't know what happened to him. Was he even at the Grand Prix?
14th.
I don't know. I didn't even know. Because I know Ericsson retired, and I know that the Marussias were in a bit of trouble. But at least the Marussias were up there with the Renaults. They were actually competing, so it's good to see.
You mean the Lotuses?
Renault Lotuses, yeah. Renault. I'll do an inter-barrier there. The Lotus Renaults. And it was just a lot better, but, they need to get the packages in to get... I want all the cars to be around equal speed, because then, as you saw today, the Force Indias, the Williams, kind of the Ferraris, the Red Bulls, all of those had about equal speed, and it gave us some good racing.
That's exactly what I
But the Mercedes were so far ahead, it was like, you had like this tiny little battle at the front, and then just like this massive bunch of cars.
Yeah.
If they were all involved in that, it would just
I
be
was thinking
better.
I'm sorry to interrupt again, but,
That's fine.
I was thinking like, in some like race events you have like different classes, so like Class A, Class B and all that. It almost felt like the two Mercedes was Class A, and then apart from that it was Class B, everybody else really today.
But yeah, I'll get my point across now, so about the Cater and Marussia sort of discussion. I agree with Joe, they've definitely improved pace-wise. I think it's going to be an epic battle between both of them for a 10th place in the Constructors, because obviously Chilton finished 13th in Australia, Kobayashi 13th in Malaysia, and Chilton 13th once again in today's race in Bahrain. So they keep on swapping in terms of that 10th place. Obviously, you get quite a lot of money for that. But yeah, it's going to be a great battle. To whether they'll score points or not, I think they will. Personally think they will. I think there'll be one race, there'll be a load of retirements, and I think one of them...
Monaco, probably.
Monaco, yeah.
Yeah, Monaco.
I bet it'll rain there.
Yeah, that's pretty much my point across as I've kind of got to go. So yeah, do you want to end it here or...
No,
I'll continue.
Oh my god, I continue here. We've got to keep going. We'll be 5 minutes, I'm probably smart.
I'll take the place of
We don't want to keep you that much, but yeah. Last subject, very quickly. I don't know if you saw the Bernie Eccleston interview on Sky today. And our last point, they were saying that there's meant to be a new team next year.
Yeah, there might be a couple.
Joe? What do you think of that?
Apparently there's going to be a couple new teams. There is this American team that's coming in. Mm-hmm. And then they said that there's another couple of teams that could maybe come in. And that's a good thing, but because you lost the HRT, didn't you, in 2012?
Yeah.
We lost the HRT. So he's going to try and get another couple of teams in. And I mean, when the three teams, Caterham, HRT and Marussia came in, then it was kind of like, oh, there's new teams, they're going to do really well. But they're really not. And they haven't done since. But I think if a new team comes in, they'll be a bit like Spiker. They'll probably have a few... I have a feeling if a new team comes in, especially if they're American, I have a feeling they'll do quite well. And I think that they'll be up there. They'll be a bit like Brawn. Mm-hmm. But I always think that more drivers, the better, really, because you get more racing, more teammates, more battles. It's just more crashes. And that's just what it's about, really, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I think we're going to pretty much end it there. So thank you so much, Joe. I know that What's it had to just dash off. But, like I say, I'm sure he'll be watching this video. So thank you, Matt, for coming on. Thank you, Joe, for coming on. Very much appreciated. If you want any more subjects talked about in the next one, lads, make sure to put them down in the comments. And also, if you want to be a guest on the show, put it down in the comments also. Thank you all for watching. I've been Tidge. Thank you so much, Joe. And
that's all right.
I'm going to do a Harrison 101 quote here. Sayonara.
Bye.
Bye, have a good time.